So you've got some prepared questions, right?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I got my notes.
Awesome.
Deanna Bremer Fisher, welcome to Due Diligence. So you and Deanna Bremer Fisher, you go by, it's the whole package, right?
It's the whole package.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so your name, is there a story behind your name? Like why Bremer is your middle name, or is it a married name, or how'd you end up in that with that
Well,
combo?
so Bremer was my name when I was born, right? And when I got married the first time, I've been married twice, I kept my last name. And I was just Deanna Bremer at that time. And then when I got married the second time, I thought, okay, I will take my husband's last name, but I'm going to keep my first last name as well, because people knew me as Deanna Bremer for one reason, right? And so I got rid of my middle name, which was Louise, and I didn't really like that much. So I became Deanna Bremer Fisher, no middle name, but two last names. No hyphen.
All right. No, that's why that was
Right.
why I was maybe curious. I was like, I'm not seeing a hyphen. I didn't know if Bremer was just a middle name, or you got Michael Dylan Brennan. I assume Dylan is his middle name.
Actually, I'm not sure.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Perhaps.
The mystery continues at least there.
You'll have to ask him.
This is the first of 5 mayoral interviews. I think I'm just last time we did this, I held all the mayoral interviews and just released them all at once. I'm just going to put them out since I'm running for city council as well. Who knows the timing on these, how these are going to work, but I hope to have all 5 candidates on. Everyone's been invited, and I had Davida on before she announced to run, but which was good. But I think I'll have her on again at some point, hopefully. And yeah, just trying to give people a chance to meet the candidates, and hopefully, the political, world that we live in, sometimes the human element doesn't make it in all the time, right? So that these interviews, I think, are a chance to just sort of get to know you personally, get to know who you are on more of a human level, and hopefully we can take the temperature down and just have a real a race based on the issues and what is important to the people of Cleveland Heights.
Right. Well, yeah, I think it's great. I think it's a great community service that you offer.
Oh, well, thank you. So I'll butter you up a little bit with a couple of nice quotes. Because I've reached out to people to sort of say, hey, I'm going to talk to Deanna. What would you like me to hear? Anything you'd like me to say or ask her? And so a couple people that are big fans of yours, I'm not going to say their names because I said I would keep it anonymous, but the first one was, I have deep respect for Deanna. She's an effective, quiet leader who has navigated complex and often conflicting relationships. She's collegial and able to take and act upon feedback. In my direct experience, she's always been forthright, honest, and ethical. I enjoy working with her, and I think she would be a great mayor.
Very nice.
That was the first thing, right? And then I've got Deanna Smart, highly capable, true servant leader, committed to Cleveland Heights. She's worked above and beyond in her role at Future Heights. I believe her additional experience at University Heights makes her highly qualified. So that's, some nice things, right? And do you anything you would add? Like, what's in your relationships and working at Future Heights and University Heights? Are you proud of how you've handled yourself and in the relationships that you've built?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've lived in Cleveland Heights for 30 years, and I've been involved as a community leader almost that entire time. First on the neighborhood level, and then later at Future Heights, and now at the city of University Heights. And, it's one of the things that I've always worked towards was try to remain neutral and collegial when working with people, because it's really the only way to get things done. When you realize that you have the same goals, everybody's working to try to solve a problem for the community, getting involved in disputes, whether it's personality disputes or something that's really not the issue that you're trying to solve, doesn't serve anyone.
Can bog things down, right?
Yes.
In the wrong way.
Yes.
As we've seen.
You can spend a lot of time on that kind of stuff.
As we've seen recently, unfortunately. So to the rest of the field is 5 mayoral candidates. We have you, we have Davida Russell, Jim Petrus, who are on council, Marty Gelfand, Laura Hong are citizens that are running for mayor as well. You said you've been in Cleveland Heights for 30 years. What was your background before that? Where are you from, and how'd you end up here?
Okay, well, let's see. I was born in Detroit, Michigan. Lived there for the first couple years of my life. Then we moved to Akron, North Hill of Akron, and then eventually to what is now the city of Greene. Back then it was Greene Township.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty rural when I lived there. But I grew up there, went to St. Vincent St. Mary's in downtown Akron, went to Oberlin College, majored in history, and then got married, followed my husband up to the University of Michigan where he was getting his MBA. And then I decided, hey, I can do that too.
Huh.
So I got my MBA at the University of Michigan. We moved back here to Cleveland. First I lived downtown at Reserve Square. And people would always ask me, are you an East Sider or a West Sider? And I would say, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't from Cleveland, so I didn't get the whole East Side, West Side thing. But I worked at American Greetings. That was my first job out of business school. I was a product manager, did greeting cards of various types, and then ended up working for one of the hair care accessories subsidiaries, which was then sold. And I worked for Matrix Essentials out in Solon, also as a product manager. When I had my first child, he was born very early, and 2.5 months early, ended up in the NICU, and I decided to stay home with him at that point. His first couple years were pretty rough. But then when I went back to work, I decided I wanted to work locally, because when I was a brand manager, I traveled all over the place and saw a lot of cities, a lot of different places in the world, actually, but didn't really get to really know those cities. And when I was home with my son, I really got to know this place, and I really learned how wonderful and unique it is. All the local businesses, all the great places to walk, the beautiful neighborhoods, the diverse community members. I mean, it's just, there's really no other place like it anywhere in the world, really. And we're so fortunate to have it. So I became involved in the community. I worked to get this neighborhood listed in the National Register of Historic Places, and then co-wrote one of those Arcadia of America series books on the Euchre Golf neighborhood, which is
I'm
this neighborhood.
I'm an owner of your book.
Excellent.
I think the first when I moved back 12 years ago, and I moved into this neighborhood, someone gifted it to me.
Ah, nice. Yes.
It's awesome. Yeah.
It's great. I mean, it's a source of neighborhood pride, right? I mean, and that's what the National Register can do, to know your history, know the origins of your neighborhood is really important.
Millions of copies? How many has it sold over the
Well, it is in its third printing.
Oh, okay. Watch out.
And I think we've made all of about $3.50 off the royalties. I mean, it's not one of those, big kind of things, but it was a joy to do. And I was a history major at Oberlin, so, right down my alley. But in addition to that, I got involved in the Heights Parent Center. Now it's Family Connections. I was on their board. And when Future Heights came into existence, I was involved from the very early part of that. So when I went back to work, I went to work at the Cleveland Restoration Society, and I was their marketing and membership manager, and then eventually their director. And then when the opportunity came up to interview for the executive director of Future Heights, I jumped at the chance.
And you had a pretty big impact, right? When would you say so Future Heights is an important part of Cleveland Heights. For those that don't understand the impact, it's the parent, essentially the parent organization of the Heights Observer. Support the Heights Observer. If you think that local journalism is important, please continue to support the Heights Observer whenever you can, in whatever fashion you can, because there's never been more of a need than now, right? For citizen journalism. And it's part of why I'm doing this series, is because I feel like we just need there's not as many people as should be watching City Hall anymore, as there used to be, and it's essential.
People need local information.
Right.
They do.
And and go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, when I started at Future Heights, there was me and a part-time person. And that was the year that we started the Heights Observer. They had done the research to know that community journalism was something that they wanted to do, but they didn't know how to implement it. And so I spent really the first year working to implement the Heights Observer. So we launched the Heights Observer. It's still going strong. I'm very proud of that. And then we grew the organization after that. The community building programs, the neighborhood mini grants, the leadership development program.
Housing renovation.
Which
is an interesting shift, like for your organization, probably, right?
It was a big shift because before we didn't have the resources, and actually when we started the housing program, and we still didn't have a huge amount of resources, but we had grown the organization over the years and had some resources to be able to start a housing program. And I interviewed a number of people, but the most important person I interviewed was Sally Martin, who was over at South Euclid. And she had done a tremendous job with their housing work. And I talked to her about it, how to do this. And she really gave me the game plan of getting properties from the land bank, drawing up a scope of work, advertising it for bid, finding those contractors who are willing to do your scope of work and have you manage that, and then agree to sell to an owner occupant. And that was really the key for us.
Absolutely.
Was to have them do that. And so that formula worked, and we were able to renovate almost 20 houses in 2 years.
Wow.
Which was quite a bit.
And did that become a moneymaker for the organization? Like, does it help? Was that a big funding source then once you're able to?
Well, yes and no. I mean, not a huge funding source,
Yeah.
because we would get properties anywhere from $1 from if we got it from the city, or $500, I think was the minimum if we got it from the land bank. But to give you an example, there was a house right across the street from the high school, vacant, abandoned, garage was caving in, the porch also. And we knew that kids had been hanging out back there. It was really a bad situation. And we wanted to do this property, and we were able to get it for $5,000 from the land bank. And we put it out to bid, and we had one contractor who said, well, I can do it, but I only want to pay $5,000 for it. And the garage also perhaps needed to be rebuilt. And so we were able to get a grant from the county to do the garage so that it could be rebuilt.
Right.
And we're able to sell the property to them for $5,000 and get that project done. So we didn't make any money at all on that project, but
Sure.
it was so worth it for us.
For the neighborhood to get it done. Yeah.
For the neighborhood, right across the street from the newly renovated high school, it was super important to get that project done. And then we did a project 2 doors down. And then even there was, and this is how the small grant program for housing kind of came about, was that there was a property right next door that had peeling paint on its front porch. And our contractor said, can we get that fixed? Because, it would help me sell the house if we had other improvements in the neighborhood. So that was the catalyst for thinking about, other neighborhood improvements, even on properties that we weren't working on. How can we help neighbors spruce up their homes as well? Because when you fix one house on a street, it really improves the whole neighborhood.
Yeah, and it can snowball. You can, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So how do you take that experience and potentially leverage that across other neighborhoods in need in Cleveland Heights? Do you have any ideas on that?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it does need to be targeted, right? So you can have impact on a small area, and once that area is revitalized, then it will spread, right? So you do have to be strategic about it, unless you're incredibly wealthy and can do everything all at once. But none of us is like that. Even the government can't do that, right? So you do need to be strategic and targeted about it. But the other thing I will say, and this is really from my experience at Cleveland Restoration Society, as you may know, they've got the Heritage Home Program, which is technical assistance.
People
but also,
should know about this.
Yes, it's a great program. It's available here in Cleveland Heights.
Still going?
It's still going. I used it on this house. And it's a great program because the technical assistance that they provide with it is just invaluable. If you've got an older house and you're wondering, how does this work? Who are the contractors who might be able to, fix something that's a little unusual with an older home? They have all the answers. They have all the answers. But also the financing is fantastic as well. But what we found at Cleveland Restoration Society was that we would always have greatest demand for that product, renovating homes through this home loan program, in areas that were close by to thriving commercial districts. If there were amenities nearby and a vital business district, then we would have demand to renovate houses. Private demand to renovate houses, right? Because it didn't matter what the housing stock was. It didn't matter how historic it was or anything like that. It was really demand driven because people wanted to live in a neighborhood that had amenities that they could walk to.
The other thing that sprouted up during your time at Future Heights that was under Future Heights is the Music Hop, right? So to me, that when I moved back and seeing that was one of the things that I makes it's Cleveland Heights at its best, you know. So if anybody has not been out to the Music Hop, you really should. What was the impetus of that, and how much credit would you take for the Music Hop creation?
Well, I certainly can't take all the credit, but yes, it was something that we created really to support local businesses. The idea was to put music in places that you wouldn't normally find music. So nowadays there are a lot of small businesses that will have a band or a performer, restaurants and things like that. But that wasn't always the case back then. And then also there were places like my favorite one was having the band at the garage on Lee Road. It was always, it's the garage band in the garage. And because, why not, right? And it's just a reason you wouldn't necessarily go there, especially in the evening. But it was great to create that traffic and give people a destination and a reason to visit. And our idea was put music in these spaces where you don't normally find music, create an event, get people to come back to Cleveland Heights who maybe haven't been here in a while so that they can discover new things and decide that they want to come back. And so that was the impetus for Heights Music Hop. And I'll tell you, it worked because I know that I discovered a number of new places during Heights Music Hop. You go and you hear a band in one place and you hop along to the next place and check out another band, and you discover, hey, this place has really great food, and I should come here again.
And I was excited about Dora. I don't know if you have any opinions on how the rollout's gone. It's still a little bit. Dora is where you can take a beer from one venue to the next, which sort of plays with the Music Hop vibe. When we're moving from venue to venue,
right?
But you still have to buy the cup and buy a new beer. Like, you can't just buy a cup and pour your beer in it, is my understanding. Okay. So I know it's something to think about as we tweak Dora potentially, that it's not optimized. Like, you don't see a lot of people doing it, I don't think, because it's not an ezy system right now, right? Like in New Orleans, you can buy a drink and walk out with it, and just go on to the next place. Not that we need to be New Orleans. We're not looking for Bourbon Street on Lee Road, I don't think, but I think Dora is really great. I just think we need to make it a little bit easier.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have much experience with it because it was not there when I was at Future Heights.
Right.
But we supported it because, yes, we thought it would be great for Heights Music Hop in particular, and for that district.
And good for watching outdoor bands, right? Like, because
absolutely,
now you can actually stand outside in the garage and drink legally in the garage, potentially, right? If you're watching a band.
Right.
And then, so in looking back through your social media, I did a Google search, right? And you do not have a crazy online footprint, despite being so engaged in your community. And I'm not seeing any drama. There's no drama anywhere, from what I could tell. Most of your social media posts even are pretty positive. But again, it doesn't seem like you ever got mixed up in anything that I could tell. Am I missing something? Was there ever any drama?
I don't think that you're missing anything. That's really deliberate. I think that social media is both a blessing and a curse.
Yeah. And
too many people these days get pulled into drama. I learned early on at Future Heights that you could be pulled in. You could spend all day, looking at social media and reacting to social media and feeding the trolls, if you will, right? And that's not productive.
Yeah.
That's not helpful. So, personally, I always try to post positive things and, not say controversial things. And certainly as a public figure, and I always saw myself as a public figure, even though I was not elected, but I was head of an organization in the community. And so I thought it was important to be positive about the community. I mean, that's what Future Heights was all about building up the community, creating community pride, giving people a voice. And shouldn't be my voice, right?
Right.
It should be the people's voice.
Right. The only thing I saw was it seemed like there was a little bit of, was there any controversy around when you decided to leave Future Heights? Was it like, it was sudden, I think, was what I saw?
Yeah, I mean, people may have found it sudden. We've been through COVID and kind of all those things. We'd been through a change in government. I was hoping that things would get better in terms of our relationship with the city. That didn't happen. You know, there were a number of things, number of reasons why, you know, I decided it was time for me to leave and pursue something different. And, you know, certainly the leadership at Future Heights knew that, but, you know, the community at large didn't. But I didn't want to create drama around it. So, you know, in the last 3 years have been great.
Mike working for University Heights Mayor Michael Dillon Brennan as his chief of staff. So, and Michael Dillon Brennan was he on the board of Future Heights?
He was on the board of Future Heights. In fact, he was supposed to head up Music Hop. And then he got himself elected mayor, and I quickly had to find somebody else.
So, but he's not running for re-election. So this could time out really well for you, is sort of how it's playing out, right? If you're elected mayor, it could be a pretty smooth transition. And do we know what Michael Dillon Brennan's up to next? Like, is him as a part of the Bremer Fisher administration? Would that be a possibility?
You know, I really don't see that as a possibility. I mean, he's looking into a lot of different options. I know he's really looking into the private sector, and you know, maybe something regionally at some point. I think that's where he sees his next
step.
Yep.
You also, when you were at Future Heights, helped start some conversations around severance. What would you tell people as your sort of take on the state of things with severance and the development with Impact Group? Are you happy with how it's moving? And as mayor, is there any way that you would sort of try to redirect what's going to happen at severance?
Well, I think it's very encouraging that Impact has been involved and has been having more conversations, has drawn up some plans, is working with the property owner. You know, that's the difficult thing, is that when that property went into foreclosure, we weren't, as a city, in a position to buy it. And so now we've got the owner that we do, and it's sat there and continued to deteriorate all of these years, right? So it seems like we have a bit of a breakthrough with having the Impact Group there. So I'm really pleased to see that there are some discussions. Every time I go to severance, though, I am just disappointed. Again, in even things that the city owns and controls, that we're not seeing investment. And this is part of my platform as well, is that we need to invest in our infrastructure. And we can't expect that other people are going to invest either as new homeowners or new business owners, new property owners, if the city's not investing in what it owns. Because if everything looks deteriorated, as severance does, you drive on that ring road, and whether you're going to City Hall or you're going to the post office, you have to be very careful. You can destroy your car. And it's not a good situation. It's not a good look for the community. So there are certain things that I think the city can do that it should be doing. I'm glad to see that we finally, I think just as of Monday, are finally getting to a point where we will have a working CIC, which will be important if we want to redevelop severance. The city needs a tool like that in its toolbox in order to redevelop severance. So a lot of these things are positive movements. They've taken too long. I want to speed up the process by doing what government can do. In University Heights, we had University Square. Similar situation to severance, very deteriorated. We were looking for a developer. The biggest problem was that parking garage. And how are we going to solve that parking garage? And we said to ourselves, well, you know what? We could create a CIC specifically to take ownership of that parking garage. The owner, the developer, is going to deliver the parking garage to the city, the CIC, in good condition. It's going to fix the parking garage and give it to the CIC to own, because that was the key to enabling that redevelopment to happen. So it's finally this year getting off the ground because we solved the parking garage problem. We got a little bit more money from the county to close the gap. We did all the things that we could to move that project forward, and it's finally moving forward. So I'd like to do the same for severance.
CIC, Community Investment Corporation?
Right.
And why can't the city just transfer ownership of that garage themselves?
To itself?
or to a developer? Like, why is the CIC needed?
The CIC is needed because people saw it as risky, right? So it's it's risky to own that parking garage.
Yeah.
And so how do you manage that risk? And so you wouldn't want your city government to own it outright. So you create this separate entity that is responsible for it. So it's about managing risk.
Well, and what's the timeline on the University Heights project now?
Well, they're starting this year. They're gonna peel back the garage. The garage is too big. It's dark.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why people see that it's dangerous. They're going to be putting in housing on the Cedar Road side. And when they peel back the garage, they're going to open up basically like a courtyard area to create more light and some green space then for the housing. And there'll be new retail. There's new retail going in there shortly. There's the Urban Air trampoline park that's going in there. There's a couple other new retailers that are going in. So it's all starting now. It'll take a few years to get it all completed.
And almost adjacent to Severance is the Park Synagogue property. Any thoughts on where that renovation stands? It seems like they've had some more good news this week.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like that's moving forward. It sounds like it's something that the neighborhood is behind. It seems like they've done good community outreach there and really done some thorough planning. So it's exciting to see.
Is there anything that you saw University Heights, the way that they handled city services that you think you would want to bring with you if you were mayor of Cleveland Heights? Or do they maintain their roads in a different way? I know you're not going to try to suggest that backyard garbage pickup is not coming to us. I don't think there's a push for that here anyway. But anything else, anything that University Heights does a little bit differently, maybe that would be useful here?
So I've worked on transitioning them from backyard garbage and recycling to now they do backyard garbage still, but curbside recycling now.
Yeah.
So that was a big change for the community. And so there's a lot of education that was needed. People were concerned that the carts were going to be heavy and difficult to move. So we ordered some prototype carts, some sample carts.
Some more hilly driveways, in some
that's true.
University Heights,
right. And people were concerned, well, what about people who, are older or ill or something and can't get their carts out? And we developed a program for that so people can sign up for that within certain criteria and they can get assistance doing that. And we went from about 30% of people participating in the recycling program to over 60%. And it's an opt-in program, which is not ideal. The experts in recycling say opt-in is not the way to go, but that was the legislation that was passed. So it's an opt-in program. We've worked hard to educate the public about this new program, and we're pleased that we're over 60% are now participating in it. The other tool that we have in our toolbox is Cooper, the brand ambassador, Cooper the chicken, which you laugh, and that's right. I mean, that people laugh. And
so there was a big battle in Cleveland University Heights over whether you should have chickens or not.
Correct.
Be allowed to have it.
Right.
We have it in Cleveland. We've had it for a while. You're a chicken owner, right?
Yes.
So it's a little bit tongue in cheek having the chicken in University Heights as the mascot. Okay.
As the brand, not mascot, brand ambassador.
Oh, sorry.
He's the brand ambassador. Yes. And the thing is that he's always able. He goes to community events. Is very approachable. People love him, young and old. They want to get photographed with him. They want to meet him, etc. But he also helps educate the public on difficult things, such as how to appropriately recycle. Moving to a new program. He was involved in the campaign for our composting pilot program.
Okay.
So I don't know if you know about this, and I'll talk about this. So I had proposed a composting drop-off composting with Rust Belt riders, put it in the budget for 2025. Council was making cuts to the budget. They cut it out, said we're not sure that people really want this or are going to use it. So I went and found a grant to do a pilot program through the Solid Waste District. So we have a grant for a 6-month pilot program. We already had a drop-off location at Walter Stinson Community Park. We added bins to that, and in fact, we just added another one a couple weeks ago because demand has picked up so much. So within a couple months, we've gone from a program when people had to pay, I think it was $12 a month or something like that to drop off their compost at the park. We had 71 households that were participating at the beginning of the year. Now that we've done the pilot program for 2 months, we've got over 300 households that are participating in it. So it's been wildly successful. I think we've got the data to show, even within just 2 months of the 6-month pilot, that people definitely want this, that they'll definitely participate in it, and that we should move forward, put it in the budget, and not only have one drop-off location, but add at least one more location in the community, and hopefully eventually go to curbside composting. I was just in Buffalo a couple weeks ago and saw that they have curbside composting. It was very exciting for me to see. I was out there taking pictures of the bins.
That's the city of Buffalo doing that?
City of Buffalo is doing that. See, it's possible.
And then, all right. And then the University Heights compost, do the residents then have access for any of the product, the output, or does the city then just use it for parks and such?
Well, so it's a partnership with Rust Belt Riders.
Even your pilot program is with them?
Is with them. Okay. They're really kind of the only game in town right now.
They're the only one that I know of locally, right? Yeah.
Yes, and so they're really the only game in town, and they do a fantastic job. Yeah, I mean, we partner with them. They do make their tilth soil, which is available, and residents can get a discount on it. So we don't sell it.
That's what ends up happening. And then Cleveland Heights, I feel like in the last couple of weeks, there's been something about a pilot program in Cleveland Heights too.
Yes, I think so.
I don't know if that's with Rust Belt or.
Like I say, I mean, if they find other vendors out there, great. I'd be interested in knowing. But as I say, Rust Belt are the only folks I know, and they do a fantastic job.
You were on the board of Coventry Peace at one point. That is the other controversy, I guess, maybe that.
Yes,
you had an inside look. Are you really still on the board?
Still on the board of Coventry Peace, yeah. And they're back this Friday. They're doing Peace Pops.
Really?
At the community center this Friday.
So the board of Coventry Peace still exists, even though everyone's moved out?
Yes. So the organization was really created to kind of facilitate all of those organizations, right, that were at the Coventry Peace campus. But we had discussions about, what should we do after everyone moving out. And we decided that, especially once we discovered that Artful was able to purchase a building on Euclid Heights Boulevard and was going to stay in the Coventry area, that we would like to stay connected to the Coventry neighborhood. I think Coventry really needs some help right now. And the arts are important. And Coventry Peace can help be that connection. So with things like Peace Pops events that they were doing and the Lantern Festival that they brought.
Yeah, I filmed the Lantern Festival last year. It was really neat.
Yeah, it is. It's a super super event. And so those kinds of things are needed.
There was the space that's on Coventry that's sort of attached to the parking garage is still city owned, right? Isn't it? Wasn't there was a maker's sort of space right for vendors, and the woman that ran it had some controversy around her running of it. I don't know if you knew her at all, but I haven't heard any talk about that space. Like,
I haven't
what's
heard.
next for that?
I don't know, but it is a city-owned property, so I don't know if they have, if they're talking with potential tenants. I don't know what the situation is there. Yeah, but I know there are a lot of vacant storefronts on Coventry, and and it's again everywhere you look. The city's infrastructure. The city owns that parking garage. If you've been in that parking garage recently, gone up the steps, there are a number of maintenance issues that need to be addressed.
And they're trying. They are trying. There's some ARPA money that they're spending, I think, to fix the elevator.
And then one of my other issues is, what are we doing about parking?
Yeah.
During COVID, the city made the wise decision to make parking free to help support the merchants and support local commerce. And that was a great decision. Now, 5 years later, what's the city's parking strategy?
They finally started taking down some of the meters, which is great, because there's one thing I know for sure is we're not going back to quarters.
Right.
So,
well, interestingly enough, when Lakewood upgraded its parking meters, it still has some parking meters. They did a hybrid system, so you can actually use the app to pay for your parking, but you can also use quarters. And they did that because there were many residents who said, I'm not gonna use the app, or I don't know how to use the app. Don't want to, older residents or other
Sure.
people. And so they did a hybrid system.
Like you can still put quarters into a meter at every space?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah. I know.
I don't know. I think I'd be more inclined to offer seniors that don't want to use the app a pass
Or something,
you know?
some other way to do it.
The entire
I
city of Chicago has an app. Like, I think we can get by.
We can
with
get
an app.
there,
Like,
yeah.
I don't know. It's like, are we really going to enforce it anyway? Like, can you just tell the seniors that we're really not going to? Are we going to write tickets, or is it almost like,
Right.
like a donation bucket? Like, here, please pay for some parking. I don't know. You can't tell people you're not going to enforce that.
Right.
But for businesses too, like they're saying, you want some turnover, right? Because the parking lots are free, like Bondley Road behind Stone Oven. That lot, you can never find a spot there sometimes, and people aren't incentivized to leave the lot. Like sometimes there's table turnover can be a good thing for restaurants and for some businesses.
Yeah, so you'd think 5 years into it, we would have studied it, because we've had this issue where we had a certain plan. We totally changed it up, so we were no longer enforcing meters, right? We weren't getting any revenue from it.
Yeah.
And so we've had 5 years now to analyze it and figure out what our strategy would be going forward. But I've not heard anything.
I haven't heard a word.
And I have seen some meters taken out, and others are just there continuing to deteriorate.
I mean, the meters that we do have, most of them are tipped over or in terrible shape. I don't think going back to, I don't know how Lakewood's doing, but to me, just the management to go and check for the quarters
Right.
would
So
sort of
what's
reduce.
the
It's labor. There's labor involved there.
Right.
Like,
what's the cost benefit?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either, but the city should know. They've had 5 years now.
Yes. It has been nice to not have to,
It's been super nice.
Yeah.
When our offices, Future Heights offices, were above the Cedar Lee Theater, and when I first started at Future Heights, I used to have to go out and feed the meter at least once a day,
Right.
Which was crazy, until I finally got the city to agree to sell me a parking pass for that garage, which apparently they had never done before. But I was there all day. Sometimes I was, in and out, and just to have to think about that all the time was really an inconvenience, to say the least.
It's not a way to. No, we don't have to run things that way anymore.
Right. So.
Like me, I think you are disappointed in the way our civic institutions don't work very well together necessarily. Like, for example, our schools in our city are sort of siloed off, and that in a well-functioning city they shouldn't be. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
You have a child that went to Heights, right? So you are
Right.
You've been a user of our public schools at least. But you have to think that that's amiss, right? And
I think
that's swimming at the high school is one thing, right? But it's a whole host of things. If you want this place to run well, those are vital. That they're tied into the city better.
Right. I mean, our public schools are so important. They are part of the community. Our children go there. And so whether you have children or you're sending your children to the schools, those are still our kids who go to those schools, and we need to support them. And the city should have a good relationship with the school district. Economic development is key to our community. The schools are often a draw for people. I remember when we renovated the high school, and some people had just moved into town, and they were driving down Cedar Road, and they said, "Is that your high school?" And they said, "We wish we had known more about the high school." They bought in Shaker. They had just purchased a house in Shaker. But it can be a real draw for people to come to a community, and you need strong public schools. And so the city needs to support the schools, and that means showing up. That means, going to the state of the schools, going to sporting events, going to musical performances, etc., and just being there and letting them know that they are important to us.
Making sure that grants that we apply for actually get secured, that are anti-violence grants that we found out this week that there's almost $500,000 that just sort of half of it's gone and the other half is essentially dying on the vine. It's on life support. Like, we have to get after it, and there's just no movement there because that is a forced collaboration between the city and the school district.
Right. Well, not only that, but let's look at this is a subject I think is near and dear to you, right? Recreation facilities. And there are some assets that the city owns that the schools use. They use the ice rink, they use Keene Park tennis courts, to name a few, right? Denison, right? And so there are city assets that the schools use, and there are school assets that the city could use, and we just need to work out an agreement with them.
Exactly. We have one of the nicest auditoriums on the east side of Cleveland is in that high school. That was part of the renovation, was restoring that auditorium to its glory. And I would think that the city could find some uses for that, right? And it's good to get people in the buildings, It's
good to get them in the building. The whole idea of swimming at the high school, is a problem that I believe we had solved, and it sat on the mayor's desk.
Yeah.
And it's something that at University Heights, we don't have full year rec because we don't have a community center at University Heights. So we don't have the software and the personnel to be able to manage it. If we had, it might have been something that we could have done, but we couldn't do it. However, we talked about if the city of Cleveland Heights would do it, and city of University Heights wanted to participate, that financially, we would find a way to support it.
I think all of the mayoral candidates are universal that, like, they will be swimming year round at the high school in the next, and whoever is the next mayor.
Right.
So
find a way to do that.
One of the essential pieces that's been missing the last 3 years is stability with the city administrator and the mayor, right? So what would you say about how if you were mayor, how that relationship would work?
So the relationship between the mayor and the city administrator. City administrator is the person who's responsible for the day-to-day operations of the city. So you need to look for somebody who has that kind of administrative experience, right? And hire a good person. And in order to retain them, you got to let them do their job, right? You got to create a professional work environment where all of the employees feel valued, and they are happy to come and proud to come to work. And we need to work on that. So yes, I will hire a city administrator, and I will retain a city administrator, and then that falls all the way down to to every employee. But there are a lot of department heads as well, who have changed over the years. But stability is important, and that institutional knowledge is very important as well. And so, we talked about drama, at the beginning of this, and one of the keys is stability, no drama, right? Employees just want to be able to do their jobs. That all of the folks who are working for us at City Hall are professionals and want to serve the people, but they want to do it without feeling threatened, without feeling micromanaged or feeling like that they have to take sides on something. They just want to be able to do their jobs, and we need to let them do that. And that's what I will do.
Are you saying the mayor can't do all the jobs? No? Is that not? It's impossible?
Micromanaging is never a good strategy. And, trying to be responsible for everything, even as in a situation. So when I was at Future Heights, obviously we were a small organization. So we were always looking for partnerships and partnering with other entities in the city, whether they're nonprofits or the schools, the library, is very important as well. The city can't do everything. And so it needs partners, it needs allies in order to be able to do all the work. In addition to that, the city also needs to be building relationships with its neighboring cities, with county agencies. That's so important as well, because all of these cities are small and we can't do everything by ourselves.
We're one of the
biggest,
and so we should be leading, though. Like, people are looking to us. to lead those conversations.
We should be leading, but unfortunately, it's not been the case, and it's not been the case for a long, long time. I mean, it was one of the reasons why I wanted to move to a directly elected mayor system, because back when I was at Future Heights and we were going through the housing crisis, and I was going to First Suburbs meetings, all of the other cities were sending their mayors to roll up their sleeves and work on the housing issues. And Cleveland Heights didn't have that same kind of caliber person to send. And
Decision maker, that someone that can say, we can do this.
who
It was like, I got to take this back to my council and we'll work on it. You can't make any, you can't lead in those scenarios.
Yes. Well, I mean, unfortunately, our city manager at the time didn't have the same status, because even though in other parts of the country, city manager system is common, it's not common here.
Right.
Here in Northeast Ohio, almost every single community has a directly elected mayor, and those are the peers. And so it was very obvious to me during that housing crisis situation that with Cleveland Heights not having a directly elected mayor, that we were at a disadvantage and we couldn't be the leader that we needed to be.
How would you deal with the extremely vocal element that exists in Cleveland Heights, demanding, when I'm talking about residents, there's not every city has a few sort of, curmudgeons or people that or people that have, you're going to get a lot of opinions,
An
right?
axe to grind
Or whatever. Just how are you going to deal with the, there's a pretty substantial group and a lot of competing factions too, in some ways, unfortunately, because we're not homogeneous, which is a great thing.
Right.
But do you have a strategy for dealing with unsatisfied residents?
Well, I think that there's always going to be some folks who are unhappy. Now, hopefully, when we get new leadership in at City Hall, that people will take a step back and give the new administration, a chance.
A couple weeks of grace.
A couple weeks at least, right? No, but I think it's important to be out there in the community, building relationships, meeting with people, being accessible and being responsive to people. And so I don't intend to sit at City Hall and ignore everybody, right? I'm going to be out there in the community. I'm going to invite people to meet with me. And whether that takes a town hall kind of forum type thing, something official like that, or just, hey, I'm going to be at Stone Oven, I'm going to be at Tommy's, I'm going to be at, various places, come meet me, just to let people know that I'm accessible, and so that they can get to know me and can tell me, what their opinions are, what their issues are, et cetera, face to face. I mean, I'm not going to go on Facebook and have arguments with people. I mean, that just is not productive. There's a lot of misinformation or half missing information, on social media. And it's really, to be honest with you, I think that's one of the reasons why we're in the situation we are, is because of COVID and doing everything remotely and forgetting how to meet people face to face and have conversations and get to know people. So that's something that I will really work on as mayor, is to build back those relationships.
We've touched on most of the sort of stuff I had. Is there anything else that you think you'd like people to know that you'll be focused on early?
Well, I have priorities, and the first thing is rebuilding the trust in local government. That's essential, and so that includes hiring a city administrator who is a professional, and let them do their job, so that I, as mayor, can do my job of working on the more strategic things, building relationships, etc. That's priority number one. But there are other priorities that we need to be doing at the same time. Fixing our infrastructure is a big one. We talked about roads and curbs and parking lots and rec facilities and things like that. We need to focus on that. We also need to focus on severance. We really need to get that done. It's been however many years, a long time, decades, that has been underutilized and deteriorating. We need to turn that situation around and need to create momentum on that. So that's another priority. And we need to revitalize our neighborhoods as well. I mean, we're primarily a bedroom community. That's what Cleveland Heights is. That's the quality of life that we all enjoy. And in order to do that, the city needs to invest in the infrastructure that it owns in those areas. We need to work with our special improvement districts where they exist, where they don't exist. The city needs to try to support some sort of organization, whether it's a merchants association or a special improvement district, something that can help support those business districts. We need to work on that and work with our local business owners on business retention, understanding what their issues are, whether it's parking, whether it's safety, whatever issues they may have. We need to be working with them and supporting our local businesses. So those are my priorities. If we do all of those things, then people will invest in our community. We'll get new homeowners, we'll get new business owners, and we'll continue to thrive.
There was one other question I passed over, and we'll finish with this.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think you'll be in a crisis? And has there been a moment where you've had to handle a major crisis?
That's an interesting idea. Well, one crisis that comes to mind was the 2019 music hop. That was the night of the microburst. You remember that year? So Friday night, we were down here at Cedar Fairmount when the storm hit and the power went out. And then the very next day was the biggest part of the event, which was at Cedar Lee. And, I worked very hard to find out what was going on. Tried to talk with the city. This was actually another reason why I supported a directly elected mayor, because there was no one person to talk to about what was happening. Even though we had this major event that was happening in our city, no one could give us the time of day to tell us what was going on. And so I think it's important for local government to be aware of what's happening in the community, and when a crisis like this happens, to communicate about it. We had the fire at the Marquee at Cedar Lee, which is tragic. And actually, I think the city did a decent job at first communicating about that, which is very important to let people know that, here's what's happening, here's what we know, and address whatever concerns you can at that moment. You're not going to have all of the information, but people need to know that you're working on it. And people need to know that I'm the person that you can come to for information. So those are the things I think that are very important in handling a crisis, because I didn't see it happen, unfortunately, with the microburst back in 2019, and certainly would have helped us a lot. We were able to pull it off, but it was difficult.
Well, and then lastly, it seems like when you look at the field, the 5 candidates for mayor, is there anywhere where you think you differentiate yourself from the other candidates? Where you stand out?
Yeah.
Besides that you're an outsider, number one, is where a few of you, right? To me, I'm always looking like, what's your angle? Like how, what are your, and to me, for you, it seems like I'm someone who is the calm that's outside the storm, ready to sort of come in and bring some calm. I don't know if you think that.
Well, right. I mean, so, this is the first time I've ever run for political office. I don't consider myself a politician. Right. I'm a community leader. I've been a community leader for 30 years. And people know, you can always tell, or the best predictor of what somebody's going to do once they're in office is what they've already done. So if you look at my track record and you look at all of the things that I've done, you see that I do the work and I get things done. So that's really my message, is if you're looking for somebody to actually get things done for the people of Cleveland Heights, that's what I think I bring to the table. I'm the only candidate who has, run and grown a nonprofit and has also worked for local government. For the last 3 years, I've worked directly for a mayor of a neighboring city. And although it's a little smaller and may operate a little bit differently, I've been exposed to all different areas of local government. I've worked with every department head, including our chiefs of police and fire. I've worked with our finance director. So I know some of the things that we need to do in order to prepare for an audit, make sure we get those in on time. So the experiences that I've had, especially for the last 3 years, I think make me uniquely qualified to run for mayor of Cleveland Heights.
Well, wish you luck. Thank you for putting yourself out there. And looking for looking forward to 2026. Oh, you want to talk about the garden walk?
I do. I want to talk about the garden walk because this is happening.
It's really neat. Really neat. If you've never done this before, new to Cleveland Heights, go look at the garden walk schedule. Right.
Right.
Explain what happens.
There are over 50 gardens throughout Cleveland Heights in all neighborhoods that are going to be on the tour. People just open up their gardens to the public, and my house is on the tour. It's advertised as having a farm in the backyard.
Yeah, come with the chickens.
So
what are your chickens' names? Everyone names their chickens.
Right. Well, only one of ours has a name right now because her name is Zelda. We had an issue with a hawk who unfortunately killed 3 of our chickens. They all had names. And
who passed? Go ahead, give us who passed away.
Yes. Now Mirren.
Oh man, you
I mean, I don't. Do you know Zelda, The Legend of Zelda?
Yeah, yeah. These are all. Oh, so did your Alex do the names?
Alex did the names. Okay. These are all Legends of Zelda characters. So yeah, I mean, I'm not an expert on that, but yeah. So we have not
down to
named
one.
Our chickens.
You've got some new ones in there.
We got new ones this spring. So we have pullets, and they're not now all laying. So we get 4 eggs a day.
Oh boy,
it's amazing.
Flush.
Yeah, exactly. Especially since egg prices are
I love watching. Anyone needs help watching their chickens while they're on vacation? Let me know. I love watching people's chickens because free fresh eggs is payment enough in my book. Well, so the garden walk. What are the dates on it?
Yeah. So this is Saturday and Sunday, July 19th and 20th.
19th and 20th.
And from noon to 5 p.m. And as I said, 50 gardens are on this tour.
And you get a map there, and it's a self-guided tour.
Self-guided. You
right.
know, you can. You
always want to see in some cool backyards. This is a chance to see people
right. It's amazing, and I've been to the Cleveland Garden Walk, been to the Cleveland Heights Garden Walk, and it's always such a wonderful thing to be able to go to different homes, see their backyards, talk to the owners about what they've done. It's so inspirational about what you possibly could do, in your own yard. But it's just a wonderful community building event. I'm going to be here at my house, so come visit me. I'd be happy to talk to you, happy to introduce you to my chickens. You can see our vegetable garden and the rest of the stuff here. So it's going to be great.
Awesome. Well, Deanna Bremer Fisher, thank you for joining us and best of luck in your run to be our 2nd ever elected mayor here in Cleveland Heights. Thank you.
Thank you.